All right, Nick, let's talk about the Chicago Bears. All offseason, the Bears have done a lot of really, really good things. I think they've built this offense out in a tremendous fashion. I think it's going to be absolutely leaps and bounds better than it was last season. Now we've seen the things that they've done on the defensive side of the ball. I think there's some good moves they made, but Bears fans have been clamoring a little bit. We need another defensive end. We need another guy to come on the field, fill that role, get next to Montez Sweat, be that present. But I think we need to hold up because I think some interesting things in this article we're going to bring out from the Bears show there might be a guy on the roster that's already ready to step up and take that role. Let's get into the article and talk more about it on the other side. This, again, is from Bear Goggles On, great name. Says the Chicago Bears are looking to have a defensive unit that could be very disruptive in the 2024 season. Ryan Poles and company have put together a young core that is near the top of the list in terms of potential, and they've mixed in some veterans who can play a big role. Chicago fans are calling for the Bears to sign another edge rusher to pair with Montez Sweat. There are some notable edge rushers still available, including Carl Lawson, Emmanuel Ogba, and Yannick Ngakoue. Considering the success of these three players in the NFL, what's preventing Ryan Poles from signing one of them? The answer might be already on the team. In 2024 NFL Draft, the Bears picked Austin Booker in the 5th round for his pass rushing skills. Although he still needs to improve his ability to stop the run, he could complement DeMarcus Walker and Zach Pickens well. Nick, I think this is a very great point, and I think we've seen this a couple times this offseason with teams. When you're not making the move, I think it's speaking about what you already have on the roster. And when you look at a guy like Austin Booker, I think he could potentially be the answer. Curious what your thoughts on this one are. But before we get to you, Bears fans, in the comment section below, we're talking 5th round draft picks. Talk about Booker, a guy grabbed in the 5th round. Can he be a potential contributor to this team early on? And that's why I want to ask you the question. Who has been the best or your favorite 5th round pick in Bears history? Let us know in the comment section below. Who's a guy in the 5th round that the Bears picked up that went on to be your favorite player for this team at that selection? Let us know in the comments below. And while you're down there, check the description below the video. See our list of our favorite NFL books. Be the smartest guy in the comment section below. When you pick up one of these books, give you all the knowledge that you're going to need. Check those out in the description below the video. But Nick, what are your thoughts on Booker?
So I think this is an indication that the Bears coaching staff, the Bears front office, are incredibly high on Booker, and they think they've got a special player. They got him in the 5th round, a lot of value. Most people, including Lance Zierlein over at NFL.com, who's a highly respected draft analyst, kind of an underrated guy. He had Booker as a 3rd round pick. He comped him to Max Crosby, high praise. And of course, the Bears getting a player with that comp that great in the 5th round is a lot of value and a great move by Poles and company. But the fact that the Bears aren't making a move for another edge rusher, another pass rusher, to me is a sign that Booker is living up to and exceeding their expectations and that he's set to have a huge impact for the Bears this offseason. Because if there's one thing we know about Ryan Poles, Mize, is that he is not afraid to pull the trigger. This guy is a wheeler and a dealer. You go back to the Montez Sweat trade, you go to the Keenan Allen acquisition, you go to the Caleb Williams #1 overall trade back they did that got him Caleb Williams a couple years ago, right? Some moves not so great, some moves worked out really well. He wasn't afraid to move off of Justin Fields, right? He is the guy who's not afraid to shake things up and change the roster when he feels it's in the best interest of the team. But here, very clearly and explicitly, he's not making that move. And I think that's because his front office and his coaching staff really believe in this young player. And there's a lot to really like. Obviously, small sample size, but the production certainly was there and the limited amount of playing time that he did get towards the end of his career in college. Let's shift the focus a little bit about the veterans that are available. And it's also important to understand that there's a reason these guys are available, right? They are not nearly as good. They're kind of bigger names, so we think they're really good, but it's not 2021 anymore, right? It's going into 2024. For example, last year, Yannick Ngakoue for the Chicago Bears, he had a total of 5 sacks and a 47.6 pass rushing grade. You're telling me Booker can't get a 47.6 pass rushing grade this season for 20% of the cost of bringing in Ngakoue as a veteran? Of course he can, right? Almost any draft pick with any sort of talent could reach those numbers. And Booker has a potential to be so much better, right? So it's not just that the Bears coaching staff and the Bears front offense is blindly trusting a guy they drafted, blindly thinking he's going to be a superstar. They may believe that, but there's also evidence to indicate that adding a veteran like Ngakoue, for example, bring him back onto the team wouldn't actually help them out because he wasn't that good last year. That's just the reality. And all of these veterans that are still available, again, there's a reason they're available in July. It's because they're a year or two or three past their prime, and their last time they stepped on a football field, they underperformed to the point where most rookies would be significantly better. So again, I think this is a great sign for Booker and the Bears. They believe he has a chance to be something special, and I agree with them. But also, it's a prudent decision by Ryan Poles in Chicago not to overpay for a player who's past his prime.
Yeah, Nick, and I just think this goes to show what this team really thinks is possible with a player like Booker. And you go back to look at what Kansas was able to do last year. The years before that, they were horrible. They're probably one of the worst teams in all of college football. 2022, they got a couple wins, but coming in that 2023 season, that's really when Kansas burst on the scene, finished the season 9-4. They really did a fantastic job that season, and their defense was very admirable as well. And I think that's partially in part due to the emergence of a guy like Booker. Talking about until 2023, Booker had only really ever played 3 games in college football on Kansas. Coming into 2023, plays majority or all of that season, really 12 games played by him, an 82.2 overall grade. He burst onto the scene, 9 sacks that year, was really a dominant player for this Kansas defense who gave a lot of people a lot of fits. So I think this is big time for Kansas. Or this big time for the Bears getting this guy out of Kansas, having him on this defense, and I can see where they're coming from in the potential of a player like Booker. And I think that this is exactly what you're talking about. When you got a guy on this roster, bring him in. We know that Ryan Poles, if there was a better option available, he would go out and get him. They know what Ngakoue is all about. The other guys, I'm assuming they know what they're all about as well, and they just don't think that they're a better potential option than a guy like Booker. So, from what I've seen in the past few years from Ryan Poles, if he's gonna make a move, good or bad, and a lot of them have been very, very good. Some of them have not been so good. But when he doesn't make a move, I think that speaks volumes, and I think we're seeing a lot of potential coming out of a guy like Booker. I'd keep my eye on him rolling into the season.